late. We have a lot of drafts that have been done, but we actually had a couple requests to do a rookie draft. So I've got Coach in here with me. He's a fellow FF mediator. And then we've got Chris, who's joining our team here at First Read. So we're really excited to have Chris join us. I'm going to go ahead and share the board, guys. We'll get this thing rolling in just a second. So if you're here in the comments, be sure to let us know. We got Zach in here. He says, yo, welcome, Zach. And we've also got Pete in here who's also saying Zach. So we appreciate you for being in here. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to First Read Fantasy, and we'll get this kicked off in just a second once I get the actual board fixed here. There we go. Okay. So we've got the board up here. I'm going to have the first pick overall. Chris is going to have the second pick, and then Coach will have the third pick. We'll walk through. We're also going to give you some player projections throughout here, too. So if you've got a question about a player, you want to hear us talk about a player, be sure to throw that in the comments, and we will come back to it. Chris, you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it, guys. Excited
Coach,
to be
you
here.
ready?
Excited to be part of the team. Excited to get this mock going. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, let's roll. I see Matt's rocking his Jags gear. Biggest T-Law fan I know right here.
That's right.
I'm an original T-Law fan, so we'll talk about that here in a minute,
Here
I'm
we go.
sure. All right, so let's start with the first pick, and it's not anything special. We're going with Ashton Jeanty. The projection for Jeanty, I think, is pretty straightforward. He's the guy there in Las Vegas. I think he's going to have a pretty solid season. You know, you're going to see him drafted really high in redraft leagues. As far as it goes for Dynasty, he's pretty much the consensus first overall pick. I don't see a world where he doesn't go there if you haven't done your draft already. He's got a major, major upside. He could truly be a game-breaking fantasy asset. And in my opinion, he's somebody that I want on my team if I have that first overall pick, especially if you need him. Even if you don't necessarily need a running back, I think it's still the right pick to make, in my opinion. But he has the ability to finish as probably one of the top 5 or 6 fantasy backs in 2025. But that's just my opinion. Chris, what's your thoughts?
I mean, the hat says it all, right? I mean, I'm with you. I think the 101 is an easy choice this year. I typically live and die by wide receivers in Dynasty, but every once in a while you get these running backs that come along and have the chance to be generational. I do believe that is Jeanty, and that is whether he went to the Raiders or not. So I agree with the pick fully, 100%.
Yeah, when it comes to Dynasty, like everybody knows wide receivers is the way to go. However, there are always 3 or 4 guys at running back that can keep you in it and give you a chance every single year. The Bijans, the Gibbs, and now the Genties. If you have that guy on your team, then it changes everything for you. To me, that Jeanty at number 1, it's just a no-brainer. I think he's going to be right there as running back 5, 6, somewhere in there this season, and only will get better as his career moves forward.
Yeah, well, that leads us to pick number 2 overall, and I think this is where it's going to start to get interesting because we've got some disagreements here about certain Jag players, but we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. So go ahead, Chris. You've got the second overall pick. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Coach was saying, like I was saying, the engine of your dynasty team is typically your wide receivers. There's some good talent in the crop this year, but I'm gonna go against the grain this year. I think there are 2 running backs that should be drafted ahead of every other player in the draft. I think the easy pick for me is Marion Hampton, the Chargers. Just looking at, I got a few notes here, and we're talking 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns over the last 2 years at North Carolina, averaging almost 6 yards a carry. That's pretty insane. He's also drafted to a team that we know wants to run the ball. We're looking at the Chargers with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Both, I would say we probably agree are over the hill, including them as their only running backs and falling off. They still were 9th in run rate on the season. So you're talking top 10 running team with bad running backs, now with an elite running back coming in. And I mean, first round draft capital. If you give me a first round draft capital running back on a high T offense, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think the landing spot is great. Now, obviously, they added Najee Harris in the free agency. He's only on a 1-year deal, so I wouldn't be too worried about that, especially in Dynasty where this is a long-term play. You've already mentioned, Chris, that this is a team that wants to establish the run, and Hampton's going to be that hammer for this offense. Harbaugh's going to absolutely love him, and I think it's a great pick for this team overall. Maybe manage expectations early, so I wouldn't necessarily slot him in to be an RB1 this upcoming season. It's certainly possible. I think he's going to live in that range of being an RB2, kind of a guy that maybe comes on late into the season or midway through and really earns his carries.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like Najee's going to be sort of a thorn in his side this year a little bit when it comes to fantasy production. I think long term, Hampton's going to be fantastic. The Harbaugh offense makes it even more intriguing. Like I understand every bit of that. I do think Najee, if you're a redraft guy, like I would have a little bit of pause on Hampton just because I think Najee's going to, snipe some of that action this year. But like Matt said, over time, Hampton's going to overtake that backfield, and he will be the guy.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you're up here, the third pick overall. I've got a idea of where you're going. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so we're playing Superflex here, and I really believe, and I believe in this thoroughly. Like there is value in starting quarterbacks, whether you have him and you love him, or you have the ability to trade him. Like people always want starting quarterbacks, and there's no better value than the number one overall pick, and that would be Cam Ward. To me, Cam Ward's a clear cut number one starter from the jump. Like he's going to be the guy when he walks in the door. He's elite at reading the RPO. He has next level arm talent and just really next level playmaking ability overall. I think sometimes he gets slighted on his athletic ability. While he's not, Jaden Daniels, he can make plays outside of the pocket and really has the ability to throw the football. In Tennessee, he does have limited weapons. Like that's the concern initially there. They did do a good job in later rounds adding some young wide receivers that I think can help him a little bit. He does have Calvin Ridley. But the reality is, quarterbacks that start and play the entire season, they'll finish like top 19 or better. So if that guy starts the season and finishes it, then you'll finish top 19 as a quarterback. I think Cam will finish somewhere in quarterback 13 to 15 range as a rookie. He's going to struggle a little bit with decision making. His arm strength and arm talent is impressive to say the least. He's got the work ethic. I think he finishes the year somewhere around 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 14, 15 interceptions, and finds a way to rush for, 4 or 5 touchdowns. Somewhere to put him in, average starting quarterback territory as a rookie, and it'll just continue to get better.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Coach. If he stays healthy, he's going to have the opportunity to put up stats enough to be fantasy relevant. Now, if you're certainly not in a super flex, he's not going to be a pick that you necessarily want. But super flex leagues, like you mentioned, the quarterback position is just so valuable. That's the one place that you can see the value just stay and really hold. I mean, we already saw it with Bryce Young this past year, where he didn't have a great rookie season and he rolled in, finished strong. He was benched at the start, but he finished the season strong, and his value maintained well over a first round pick basically the entire time. Cam Ward, like you mentioned, doesn't necessarily have all the weapons. Calvin Ridley, I think, is more than we're giving him credit for. In my opinion, I think we're sleeping on him a little bit. There's not necessarily a ton of tread on that tires, too. I mean, he had some injuries early in his career, but then he had the suspension. So, yes, he's 30 years old, but there's still some time for him to be relevant in this offense. We saw him perform okay in Jacksonville. It wasn't necessarily great this past year in Tennessee, but at the same time, the Tennessee quarterback play was terrible. And if there's one thing we know about Cam Ward, is he is not afraid to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. Coach, all offseason you repeated it over and over and over that Cam Ward's poise in the pocket is pretty much unparalleled. He had no concerns at all. And he had a great ability to just deliver the ball on time. You've mentioned the RPOs. He excels at that. And so I think this offense might be a little bit better than we think. We've talked about how the Tennessee defense is better than people give him credit to. So there's a world where this team, ironically, competes for the division if all things go right. If Cam Ward's a good player, then I think they can go pretty far.
Yeah, I think if he plays well initially, Tennessee has a real chance. That defense, everybody's sleeping on that defense. That defense was good. They allowed the second fewest yards in the NFL last year. So if Cam just plays okay, then they're going to finish with a winning record, or at least 500 ish, which is a major step in the right direction for that program.
Chris, what's your thoughts?
So I was just waiting to jump in here. So I guess my concern, I'm just going to pick up kind of where you left off, Coach. The Titans want to play good defense. We know that, and I don't think we've seen enough from the head coach there to really be all that confident in me drafting Cam Ward at 103, regardless of Superflex. There's enough other talented players on the board right now, and I don't necessarily believe in the team enough for this year. I know it's Dynasty, but I feel like had I drafted a wide receiver there or one of the other running backs there, I probably have other pieces on my team I can trade for a top 15 quarterback. And also, I feel like if I'm a team drafting Cam Ward because I'm in Superflex and I need my second starting quarterback, I'm probably not in a place where I'm competing in the near future anyway. And so again, I'm just trying to stockpile talent. And if I'm going to stockpile talent, I'm always going to go to the wide receivers, other than JT and Hampton. I probably would have taken a wide receiver here, but that's me.
Well, I think long term, if you have a top 10 quarterback long term, right, then he has so much value, meaning that, if he's a top 10 quarterback 2 years from now, you'll be able to move him for this same value or more.
Sure.
Quarterbacks just have that much value in a super flex.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
that's
agree.
fair.
I think Ward, you mentioned it, the value can just stay the quarterback position. It just gets really needy. So if you're a quarterback needy team in the first 3 picks, it's probably what you need to do. If you're blessed and you don't necessarily need that, this is an opportunity for you to go and try and trade out of this pick. If you find a quarterback needy team, maybe they're just behind you, you just get a small
Yep.
asset on top. That's something Coach and I have done all offseason. We love making moves like that. So it's just kind of something you need to monitor your roster. But
Yeah,
before we get to our next pick, guys, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say that's actually a move I would like a lot personally. If I'm sitting at 103 and I've got someone willing to move up to get Cam Ward, and I'm only dropping 1 to 3 spots, and I can get a second rounder out of it, for example, there's a lot of talent in the second round this year that I like. Again, at wide receiver, of course, that's my bread and butter. But there's so many second round rookie draft wide receivers this year that if I was able to get a second round pick to move out of that slot, it's a no brainer for me.
Man, I totally agree with that. Like, I love the idea of trading back. Like, I do. Give me an extra pick later. Like, that's just another chance. Just let me throw another dart. Especially if I can just move back a couple slots. And
Yep.
I'm doing that all day long.
Yeah, and if we're playing in tiers, which is the way I think all three of us do, if you're comfortable with 2 or 3 guys and you're only sliding back 2 spots, it's just perfect. You get another opportunity and you keep a guy that you feel just as comfortable with or just as safe with, maybe in your mind. So I love that move.
Sure.
If mentioning getting a second just to slide back 2 to 3 spots, totally fine with that.
Yep.
But before we move on, guys, let's hit some of these comments in here. Hoff says Chris is in the building. He is in the building. He is here and he's ready to party.
Right.
We've got a comment here that says he's got the 101, the 107, and the 108 in this year's draft. For his 107 and 108, he's hoping to get Travion Henderson, maybe Judkins, Johnson, or Harvey. In my opinion, I think you're probably going to miss out on both Henderson and Judkins. Judkins is a possibility at that 107, but I wouldn't necessarily expect Henderson to make it that far. Either of you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I think Henderson's probably a top 5, top 6 pick. You might, and I would say Judkins probably is as well. Just off the top of my head, if I'm sitting there with 1-1 and then 7 and 8, I'm easily smashing the JT pick. That's a no brainer. At 7 and 8, I have to keep my wide receivers loaded. I'm probably taking Igbuka with one of those picks, and then just a running back I like from that list he gave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, anything different?
Judkins' stock is skyrocketing here lately.
Yeah.
My ex has been full with Judkins hype all of a sudden. And if you think about it, if Judkins does what Chubb was doing, like there's a lot of dang value there in Judkins if he gets the ball as much as Chubb used to. So he's really intriguing. I'm glad I ended up picking him in a couple places in a couple leagues that I'm in, and I feel really good about that now. I could be wrong, but OTAs he looked really good, and the hype is high on him, so I don't think you're going to get him there at the 107 spot either.
Yeah. Pete says it's good to see Chris in his debut. I agree, man. We're happy to have Chris join. He's doing great so far. So we appreciate
that,
you, Chris,
Pete.
for joining us.
Thank you.
First Read says, everyone, make sure you hit that thumbs up. We appreciate that. Scott's at work, but he's still listening to this. So we appreciate you, Scott. And then Ace of Spades jumped in too. Said I took Harvey over Caleb Johnson. Seeing Dobbins may sign, was that a mistake? I wouldn't say it's a mistake. Let's not overreact too much. Let's see what unfolds. I mean, we don't know the circumstances of the deal, or even if he is going to actually sign there. There's a lot of time left. I think Harvey's ultimately the long-term play and the goal for this team. But we'll have to see. Either of you disagree?
I was gonna jump in on the J.K. Dobbins stuff when we got to R.J. Harvey. I was looking a little bit at the Hampton pick and just kind of looking at the Chargers from last year, and J.K. Dobbins had just over 1,000 scrimmage yards. Yes, that's true. But if you look at where that came, it was in bursts of yards. A lot of it just in the first 2 weeks. The dude ran out of gas. He's coming off. I mean, he injured an Achilles. That is a potential career-ending injury for a lot of running backs. We've seen him come back and start, and that's great. I'm happy for him, the person, but him, the player, is not worrying me about RJ Harvey in the least.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Coach, anything to add?
Well, I do think the Harvey hype was really strong initially. You've seen that scale back a little bit lately. I think the biggest overall theme is don't react quickly to anything you see in OTAs or anything your ex is full of right now. Like, just stick with what you believe in. Let it play out. Don't panic. Don't panic buy. Don't panic sell. Any of that stuff. Just relax and pick the player you think is better.
Well, I think that's a pretty good segue, Coach. We get another comment here of what do we think about Hunter being a DB with wide receiver upside? Where do we have him on the board? Well, he's going to go right here. I've got the 4th pick. I'm taking Travis Hunter. Well, I know we're going to have a lot to talk about with this pick. I've been adamant all offseason, and so if you don't follow us over on X, be sure to follow the FF Mediators. I've been screaming that Travis Hunter is the 102 in this class. Chris already mentioned that his approach is typically draft the wide receiver, and I would agree with that, especially if you're a rebuilding team. That's going to be the longest shelf life asset. That's going to be the player that gives you the most value long term. And in my opinion, Travis Hunter is a wide receiver first and a DB second. Not only is it my opinion, it's also the opinion of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They said this the night he was drafted. He is a wide receiver first with defensive snaps to be played. So I think looking at him as a DB with wide receiver upside is wrong. We need to look at it from the other way. Follow the transactions of the team. And on top of that, you might say, well, what do? They have Brian Thomas there. I'm not scared at all. I'm not saying he's better than Brian Thomas, but I'm also not saying he's worse than Brian Thomas. I think there's a world where this tandem can play well together. It's not uncommon. We have multiple duos who perform in fantasy together. Yes, well, the immediate point will be, is it Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? Well, you could say, well, they have Burrow. Well, at the same time, the Eagles had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both finished as top 12 wide receivers, and they had Jalen Hurts. While Jalen Hurts is a premium fantasy asset, would we say he's a premium quarterback or passer? I wouldn't say that. I think he's fine. I'm not saying he's not good, but I wouldn't label him as a premium passer in the NFL. We've already seen Lawrence have a top 12 season in 2022, and his weapons were far worse than this team that he's going to have this year. They lose Christian Kirk. Gabe Davis is gone. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. But the targets are there for for Travis Hunter. And even if Brian Thomas replicates what he had last year, which was 133 targets and 87 receptions for almost 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, he was playing with Mac Jones the majority of the time. I think Trevor Lawrence can elevate this offense to go forward and be even better. Not to mention, we failed to mention that they got a better coach. Whether we want to talk about Doug Peterson and whether he was worth it or not, let's not get into that too much, but we all agree that Cohen has some offensive mind that can help progress this Jaguars offense to be better. And maybe he can develop Trevor Lawrence. We saw Baker Mayfield again replicate what he did with Canales before. But again, I think we need to remember that he repeated that with Cohen. So I think the sky is the limit for Travis Hunter. He's the unicorn of this draft. Yes, he plays both positions. I'm not scared at all. He's super athletic. He's got incredible hands, incredible ball skills. You should not be afraid to draft him at the 102, in my opinion. If you are scared and you want to slide back, you should do it and still draft him. He is an auto pick for me every single time. I had multiple teams where I needed running backs at the 102, and I didn't care. I took Travis Hunter because I have that much conviction in the profile and that much conviction in the player.
Just to jump in here a little bit and help you with the bull case, and I'm not a Hunter guy over Tet. I like Hunter, but I like Tet more. That being said, jumping on the point of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, Liam Cohen, the new coach that you mentioned in Jacksonville, if you look at the Bucs last year, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were both top wide receivers before Chris Godwin went down. So we already saw it happening in a Cohen offense. So I don't see any reason why it can't happen in a Cohen offense now that he's the head coach. I still personally would take Tet over Hunter for the simple fact that it's a true wide receiver one body and skill set and X. Like he is the X for the Panthers and Dave Canales. But I think you're splitting hairs. I don't necessarily think either one is a bad pick. I don't necessarily think either one is a smash over the other.
Coach?
Oh man. So First of all, Trevor Lawrence is not near as good as Matt thinks he is. Let's go ahead and start with that. He's okay. I really mean that. He's an okay quarterback. Never going to be the guy we all hoped he would be initially. That being said, I'm curious, Matt, do you think Trevor Lawrence has always been a guy that uses his tight end a lot. Is that because Ingram was really good? Or do you think Britton Strange steps in and picks up those targets? Because if so, then that would limit some of the targets to go around to a Travis Hunter.
I mean, would it limit it if we already saw the tight end position in Jacksonville getting those targets? I mean, obviously Ingram is gone. He's now a Denver Bronco. So Strange steps into that role where there's an immediate need. And I think he could still get 100 targets, but that's not going to matter. I mean, Trevor Lawrence in 2023, when he played 16 games, threw the ball 564 times. He threw it 584 times the year before that. He threw it 602 times the year before that. So there's plenty of opportunities to go around among these players. And when you really step back and think about it, outside of Strange, outside of Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas, can you guys name another pass catcher that is not a running back? That's
Jaden
what
Reed.
I thought. Okay, well, there you go. I think that there's just a lot of opportunity to be taken advantage of by Travis Hunter. And again, I'm following the transactions of the team. They said he's going to be a wide receiver. He started at wide receiver. Yes, he's going to play defensive snaps, but the primary position is wide receiver. The money to be made for him in the future of the NFL, there's more money at wide receiver than there is DB. So everything tells me that he's going to be a wide receiver. Yes, Strange will get the opportunity, Coach, because you mentioned it. If I'm going to say follow the team's voice, they did mention this front office loves Brenton Strange, but I'm not going to let a tight end, who's stepping into his first real role, going to scare me from Travis Hunter.
Well, I do think sometimes quarterbacks, they have certain positions that they like to target. Like for whatever reason, Josh Allen never uses his tight ends. Like Dalton Kincaid got a lot of hype. Matt, me and you were both very vocal on that Josh Allen never throws the ball to his tight ends. Trevor Lawrence seems to be a guy that loves to target his tight ends. And if he continues to do that, then that could steal some shine from Travis Hunter. That being said, the defensive thing has to concern a little bit. Like I personally think Travis Hunter here is I would do this too. Like I really would. But if he's playing a lot of reps on defense, that's going to be some snaps he's taking off of offense, which could, minimize his opportunities somewhat.
Yeah.
I also just want to jump in there on the Trevor Lawrence. We're tying these wide receivers to Trevor Lawrence because he did get a bag last offseason, but you have a new coach. I think he has a new GM as well in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has regressed every year. I think off the top of my head, I think he's regressed almost every year, including last year. He was not good in the games he played. There is a world where they move on from him if they have a top draft pick next year. So you're drafting Hunter for this year and for future, and it might not always be Trevor Lawrence. Like there might be someone else on the horizon. So
Which could be a good thing, right?
That's what I'm saying. It could be a good thing if they have a top 5 pick this year. I could see them doing whatever they need to get out of that contract, whether that's taking on some of the dead cap and trading him or cutting him or whatever. Now, I don't know what the numbers look like. I don't have the contract in front of me. That's beyond me at the moment, but it's a possibility. And I think it's a pretty decent possibility, again, if they end up with a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I think so too. Sorry, let me get the
which is totally possible with that defense. I mean, just being honest,
yeah,
the defense is putrid. They did a little bit, but not really enough to make it gigantic. So Matt is struggling. Matt is currently on the struggle bus a little bit here with his share screen.
Well, I can't get the window to share like Pete's yelling at me in the background. So I'm trying. I tried. It didn't work right there, but we'll carry on. Eric says he still doesn't like me from my take last year on the Eagles. Eric, I stand by what I said, and I'm going to say it again this year. So I'm sure we'll talk about that here soon. Michael, we see your comment about Loveland. I'm going to hold that until we get up to a Loveland pick here. But Chris, let's go to our next pick. You are on the board at the 105. What are you thinking?
So in 90% of the times I'm drafting this pick, it's going to be Ted McMillan. I would make the argument that you could go Judkins here, just with everything I've been seeing out of Cleveland and the hype. But unless it's a dire need, I'm taking Ted.
So Ted McMillan's the pick?
Yeah. Yep. Lock it in. Run that card up.
Yeah, I like the pick of Tet. I mean, I'm not going to hate it. I think you mentioned a good point about taking a running back over Tet, but he steps into an immediate opportunity. He's going to be the guy for Bryce. Leggett. I'm not worried about that. Coach, anything to add about McMillan, or you want to jump to your pick?
No, I'm good with Tet there. I'm not a huge Tet believer, but there is value in a guy who could walk in the door and be wide receiver one. Like on his team, it just is what it is. I do think for my pick, I'll tell you what. Like I wrestled with Judkins and Henderson back and forth, but I'm going to stick with the initial thought here. Now I'm going to go with Henderson just because of the change of coaches in New England. Like I think that's going to help Henderson. I think Henderson's going to carry the ball a lot. Like I'm going to stick with Henderson here.
I like it. I feel like Henderson's kind of in the same boat as Hampton. Not quite the same player, as, in my opinion, as far as like true 3-down running back skill set. I think Henderson's a little bit smaller, but he'll probably catch more passes. But he has Ramondre in front of him. So I think, for 2025, I think him and Hampton are both a little upside limited on the first part of the year. But I love the pick overall.
Yeah, what Coach said, I'm not going to let the OTA news really bug me too much. Pre-draft, I was Henderson over Judkins. Post-draft, I was Henderson over Judkins. I'm going to continue with my belief in Henderson. I'm not too worried about Ramondre Steven. I think he will eat into that workload a little bit. But both him and Antonio Gibson had fumbling issues throughout their careers at different stages. Travion Henderson steps into a role where he never really has had that problem, and I think he's going to earn the trust of Mike Vrabel. So I'm excited to see what Henderson can do, and I would pick him pretty comfortably. But for the 107 guys, I think I might shock you guys here a little bit, and I'm going to go with Loveland here. Colston Loveland, tight end for the Bears. If this is a tight end premium league, which again, we're doing a super flex draft here. If it's tight end premium, Loveland's an easy pick for me. I don't care what premium it is. He's the guy. If Pete was in here, he'd be giving me smoke about, well, does he have the opportunity? How much is he going to compete with everyone? I don't care. I really don't. Loveland's 21 years old. Fantastic tape at Michigan. Go watch the tape. He can do it all. I think he's going to put his hand in the dirt. Don't care about Cole Kmet. If you watched the Bears last year, which I'm sure Coach is going to be able to talk about this, Cole Kmet did not matter. It just doesn't work. I can't stand that argument. I think Colston Loveland is a big-time player, and there's a reason why a lot of NFL teams had him above Tyler Warren. Now, Tyler Warren was the talk of the town before the draft, and we saw the Bears with the opportunity to make their pick between either one of them. And who do they choose? They chose the 21-year-old out of Michigan who looks like he could be an absolute star going forward.
This is also the first pick that the new Ben Johnson era made. If this turns into his Sam Laporta, it's a smash pick. So I don't hate it. It is shocking. I would have assumed Judkins there, but I don't hate the pick.
Yeah, I love the pick, obviously, as a Bears fan. But that all things aside, the Bears did really, really want Loveland. Now, if you believe that Ben Johnson's a great offensive mind, like most of us do, and he went and found the guy that he really wanted and then got him, then you got to think good things are going to happen. Similar to Sean Payton targeting Bo Nix and then finding a way to get him. Well, when that happens, if the guy's really good on offense, they didn't draft him there not to use him. He's going to get used. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you're up. So take us to the next pick.
I'm going to keep it easy, fellas. Quinshon Judkins, let's go. I don't like betting on the Browns, but sometimes you got to just do it.
I think that's a pretty easy pick. I mean, he steps into that role. We have already talked about the hype a little bit. Coach, anything to add about Judkins?
No, I think he has big time potential there in Cleveland. Like I really believe that. I think there's some truth to the hype that's happening right now. This is an easy pick for me.
All right, well, Coach, you're up on the clock. It's the 109. Where are we going?
Man, now it gets a little harder, right? It gets sticky for me right here at this spot. I do think I'm going to do, which seems to be, you talk about the hype train. I guess I'm going to jump squarely on the hype train here. I'm going to take R.J. Harvey.
Wow. We've already had one comment about R.J. Harvey, and what does it mean if J.K. Dobbins is going to sign? He's doing his visit there. My opinion, I'm not really worried about it. RJ Harvey got the capital. I think it was a little bit surprising to us. I think he might have a little bit of a reduced workload. But if we learned anything this past season, I think the age of the bell cow is primarily over. Yes, Genty's going to be a bell cow. Hampton might be in the future. But the role that Harvey has, I think, is akin to Bucky Irving with Rashad White. Like, these guys are going to split carries, and that does not mean that they cannot produce in fantasy.
Yep. I do. There is some concern. If they sign J.K. Dobbins, there is a little bit of concern there with R.J. Harvey. There's also concern that the hype train is a little too excessive. Like that, in a sense, that scares me a little bit. To be honest, I do think there's a lot of potential there. I love Sean Payton. He tends to find a way to get the best out of the guys that he really likes. Like I just said with Bo Nix. So I like R.J. Harvey. It's just the only thing that gives me pause is how much hype there has been.
Yeah. Chris, anything to add?
No, I mean, it's pretty easy pick for me. I like it. I already said I don't have any concerns with J.K. Dobbins myself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am back on the clock at the 110, and I think this is kind of where you get to the spot where it gets a little bit more dicey of whether you go with a guy like Caleb Johnson or you draft one of these wide receivers. And I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka. We've already talked about how we build through wide receivers. This is a long-term play. You know, you're getting him at the end of a first round, but he steps into a good offense with a quarterback safe, you know, that's going to produce pretty good passing stats. Chris Godwin's aging. He's coming off injury, so maybe he doesn't start the season. Mike Evans, I think, is the same age as Coach. They're both AARP representatives, so who knows when that's going to finish. So I think Ibuka is one of the safest plays in this entire draft. It just might take a little bit for him to really hit his full fantasy value.
Man, I really wish I was Mike Evans' age, to be honest. Egbuka is an awesome route runner. He really is. The dude can run routes. There's a lot of competition for targets. I do think, I swear, the more I think about it and the more I just deep dive into it, I do wonder if McMillan is going to be a little bit better than people think. Like, I really think everybody's like, oh, McMillan, scrub. That's why they drafted Egbuka. It's possible they drafted Egbuka because Egbuka was the best player available right there, too. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Ibuka's the best route runner in the draft, in my opinion. So I understand the pick. I get it.
Well, Chris, you're up at the 111. What are you thinking here?
It's, I'd like to go a wide receiver here, but I like the upside here long term. Depends on team needs here. If you need him for 2025, you might be a little disappointed to start the year, but I'm just going to take Caleb Johnson.
I think that's a safe pick. I mean, I hate to keep repeating of what we're doing of these guys are going to take a year to develop. He's competing with Jaylen Warren, but again, he steps into that Najee Harris role, and I think he's going to outperform Warren.
Look, I would take Caleb Johnson here also. I sure as heck wouldn't feel good about it, though, just to be honest. Like, it's one of those where I would just close my eyes and make the pick, and it would make me nervous as crap because there's a lot of variables there at play and just a lot. Like, I don't love Caleb Johnson. He's the best value here, right here at the moment. I understand that, so I get it.
I'd feel better if this team had a quarterback. I'd feel better about the pick, but he's only 21. So, I mean, he's got room to grow, whether it's going to be, short term with the Steelers or not. I mean, he's going to be in the league for a while. So I'm comfortable with the pick, especially with his age. It's going back to like him and the RJ Harvey. It always seems to be people are talking about, do you go Caleb Johnson? Do you go RJ Harvey? If you're ready to win now, it's RJ Harvey. If you're building for future, I think it's Caleb Johnson. He's 3 years younger than RJ Harvey. I think people miss that sometimes. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Completely agree. Well, Coach, you've got the 112, so finish this first round for us.
All right. So this is where I guess I'll surprise some people here. And some of it is the football coach in my blood and the offensive coordinator in my blood. And yeah, I just can't resist a first round quarterback. I just can't. So give me Jackson Dart here. To me, he's the future at quarterback in New York. He's attached to Malik Neighbors, which is, obviously that's something. I love Jackson Dart on film. he really, really stood out as a tremendous athlete when I watched his tape over and over again. I was like, man, this guy's a good athlete. He really has the mind of an NFL quarterback, and his playmaking ability sort of resembles Bo Nix in a lot of ways. Like when you break down the film of Shedeur Sanders, you're like, he does not look like a great athlete. And then you put on Jackson Dart's film, you're like, dadgum, this guy's outside the pocket everywhere making plays. Like, I think he can use his feet for that. The issue, though, this season will be whether or not he starts. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he does. I think they're going to probably go Russell Wilson and sort of ease Dart in at some point, a.k.a. Russell struggles. Everybody's clamoring for Dart. Dart will go in and play. I expect Dart to play 5 or 6 games, possibly at the end of the season. I think his numbers will look similar to Penix last year down the stretch. I think he might throw for 1,200 yards or so, 7 touchdowns, 4 INTs, something like that, 7 and 5, somewhere in there. But he's going to show in his limited amount of time that he's got a lot of long-term potential, and he's going to be a quarterback that you're going to be excited that you got, and there's so much value in that first-round quarterback, especially at the 112.
So
yeah, I already go ahead, Chris.
sorry, go. So I was just going to say, since we're talking about the Giants here, I just want to ask like a quick question here. All right, so if you're a Neighbors manager, who do you want to start?
Good question, Coach.
Easy answers for me.
I think to me, I think I would still rather have Jackson Dart. Like I'm playing the long term play. I swear I just think Jackson Dart will be able to stand back there in a pocket and sling it around. I think if Russell Wilson's the quarterback, there's going to be way more game managing going on. That's just
Matt?
I think I'd go with Dart too. I get that it's not necessarily the win now move, but I want to see what I have. And, is it going to work? Is it a fit? Because right now we're in the era of where quarterbacks really have to produce right away. We all say like, oh, just bench them and let them learn. But the irony is they don't really get that very often. So I think if you just let him play, let him build with Malik Neighbors, I get they're coaching for their job, but I think that's the best play in my opinion.
If I'm the Neighbors manager, I don't want Dart or Russ starting. Give me Jameis for 17 games easily. Give me 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. 20 of those are going to Neighbors. Let's go.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't see that happening. Like to me, this is a nightmare of a quarterback room. Not as bad as the Browns, but if I'm Dart, I am not loving being in this room necessarily with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Like to me, something's going to have to sort itself out there quickly.
Yeah, don't hear what I'm not saying. It's not for real football. It's not a good quarterback room this year. But for fantasy football, as a Neighbors manager, you're praying they start Jameis. Look at Jerry Judah last year when Jameis was playing.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think you're wrong. And Coach, you mentioned again, like the quarterback position, he got that first round capital. He's tied with Dable, who I do think has the ability to develop a quarterback. So there's a lot to like about it. It's, again, another situation where we might have to wait and see what kind of unfolds for the offense in this organization. Because, again, Dable and the GM are coaching for their jobs, really, to be honest. If they don't perform, they're probably getting booted midway through the year.
Hey, look, don't forget he's got Wan'Dale Robinson, man. How can you forget that? That's my guy.
Between you and Pete, I get reminded about Wan'Dale Robinson every day. Yeah, I've never understood the love for Wan'Dale. It's insane. I hope Pete's still listening because I want to roast him.
Pete's probably sitting out there hoping Kadarius Toney still becomes something.
Well, we're closing out our first round here, guys. So let's just catch up with a few comments here. Pete says, "I'm fine with Loveland. I just don't love him. Year one, that's all." Pete, I don't think that's what you told Coach. He's going to be very mad about that. Hoff asked, does it change if you're win now and you're drafting Loveland at the 107? Not necessarily. It just depends. Tight end premium league, no, it doesn't change my thought at all. I think he is the pick. If it's a standard league without any tight end bonus, then yeah, I might go with one of the running backs or maybe a wide receiver falls. Just kind of plays depending on my team. Either of you disagree with that?
No, I don't think so. I think also if you're sitting there at the 1-7 and you're trying to win now, I wouldn't hate trying to dangle that 1-7 to like the Evan Ingram manager and get Evan Ingram plus something, probably plus something premium because Ingram is aging out. So I like Ingram a lot this year. So I don't know, just a thought.
We got a quick trade question here, too, guys. It was
Yeah, I saw that
offered
too.
Slayton and the 103 for the 107 and McBride. I'm taking the McBride side here. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
not
taking that
close.
deal. I'm not taking that deal.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
interpreting as Nope has McBride and one
Yeah.
1-7. He's being offered 103 and Slayton. Give me the McBride and 1-7 all day.
yes. I mean, I want McBride all day long. Like Slayton, every time, like he's still in the NFL. Like no, give me McBride 107. Because if you just look like at 107, there's a world there where you're getting Judkins or Harvey,
Right.
and McBride. Like man, give me that all day long.
In your worst case scenario, you're still getting one of the top running backs or wide receivers in the class because there's enough of them there that one should be there.
So if you got
Yeah.
Slayton in 1-3, you can take Slayton and put him in the trash can because you're never going to use him.
Right.
So you're basically getting a Travis Hunter, I guess you could say possibly, right? Travis Hunter for 1-7 and McBride. Nah, I'm
Let's
not doing
call it
that.
bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. You're getting Egbuka there. Are you trading Egbuka and McBride for Hunter? No.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with y'all. Also want to add that we can't forget about Jalen Hyatt there in in New York. So I'm sorry, Mr. Hyatt, we forgot you, but we'll carry on. Pete does say Ibuka over Golden for me is surprising. Well, let's just carry on right here, guys. And Matthew Golden's going to be the pick for me. I think that Golden is a player that I think is sliding back a little bit. I've seen him go in the 204, 205 range, so you could probably wait. I have really high conviction on Matthew Golden. Initially, when he was drafted to the Green Bay Packers in the first round, I was a little bit bummed. It wasn't necessarily that juicy landing spot that I was chasing. The more that I've thought about it, the more that I've said on it, I'm okay with it. This Packers team has been dying for a wide receiver one. And frankly, no one has stepped up to be the guy there. Jordan Love is a quarterback we know who's going to stand back there and sling it and not really care. He has no problem throwing a pick and bouncing right back and throwing the ball again. Reed is someone who's going to be more of a gadgety guy, plays in the slot, can be moved around, but he's never commanded targets. If you go back and look at his game log last year, not a ton of games, over 7 targets. Christian Watson's coming off the ACL injury. Wicks, not the guy. Dobbs, all sorts of issues there. So Matthew Golden, in my opinion, steps into an immediate role with the Packers. I'm really excited to see what he can do. The argument against him is going to be, well, he didn't put up the numbers at Texas. And I can't fault you there. He didn't. But when you watch the tape, man, he is so clean. He's got a great release package. He can make all the cuts. He can run every single route. He's going to be a double move monster. You
And
let
he
this
can
guy,
drop
he's
all
going to
the
be a
passes.
burner. He might, but you know what? I feel like he's the guy that can turn it around. When I watched the tape, especially when you went into the playoffs and you saw him against good talent, he was absolutely fantastic. I'm telling you, go throw on that tape against Georgia, throw on the tape against Arizona State, and he balled out, man. He was really dang good. He can make contested catches. I understand there's some issues about the hands, but I think that's kind of more of, not necessarily falling into his role at Texas right away, coming from Houston. The other issue, too, is at Texas, the quarterback play was frankly bad. We all want to talk about the Arch Manning and what he could be going forward, but at the same time, Ewers was not good. And then when Ewers got hurt and they were kind of using Arch, the main thing that he did was use his legs to kind of move this offense forward. So I'm not concerned about the landing spot for Golden. If anything, I feel like he's just got the opportunity to go forward and grow with Jordan Love and kind of be the guy for this offense. We know they're going to have a run game. I trust Matt LaFleur in that offense. So I'm really excited to see Matthew Golden.
Bull case, I agree. It's Matt LaFleur. It's the Packers. They're always a good team. They're always a good offense. We've seen Matt LaFleur and his offense flourish. I'm with you on all of that. Green Bay was the number 3 team in rush rate last year. Josh Jacobs is still there, still a stud. He's going to get his. Jaden Reed, yeah, he wasn't on the field that much last year, but you've got Christian Watson banged up. Vontavian Wicks, he's a not as talented Matthew Golden. He's a burner that can't catch the pass or catch a pass. And Romeo Dobbs is in a contract year. So I think Jaden Reed will be on the field a lot more this year. That also opens up opportunities for Matthew Golden, but It's just with this offense, we never see a true wide receiver emerge. And there are other wide receivers at this place in the draft that they didn't have first round draft capital, but I still feel like they are going to have a better opportunity from the get. And if a wide receiver doesn't break out in year one, it the future is never as bright.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Golden will step into a role, and I think that role will be just a role player like the rest of those wide receivers are. Just to be quite honest, I hate to break that to you, Matt. I just
He's
don't see
this year's
him.
Xavier Worthy.
Very, very, yeah. Like he can help you. Like he's a guy you'll be able to play in your flex spot.
Yep.
I hope that's what you're excited about. Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs. I think he ends up being just like those guys. He'll help them on offense. There's no doubt. He's better than Wicks. He's probably better than Watson. He's better than some of these guys. Um, he's going to be wide receiver 3 on offense that spreads the ball out like crazy. And there you go.
I think we're sleeping on him a little bit long term, in my opinion. I understand the argument of, well, the Packers haven't really produced anybody, so he's just going to fall into the mix and just get lost. That's certainly possible, but I also think that this is them trying to address that problem. And, I said it early and often with Coach. I know, Chris, you weren't with us, but Golden was a guy that I said might be the best wide receiver, excluding Travis Hunter, in this class. He's got all the traits to do everything that you want as a wide receiver. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the frame of Hampton. He didn't have the production, of McMillan. He didn't have the production of McMillan or Hunter, for that matter. But I just think that he has the ability to play better football going forward than he's played in the past. There's a lot to like about his profile for me. He's fast. He's wicked fast, to be honest. He's got enough size to really compete. He can step into that role, play outside, and really extend this field. So I'm not worried about the competition there. If anything, I think it proves that he could be the guy. I mean, we've already seen that Jaden Reed has been announcing his concerns about showing up, of whether he's going to be the guy or be the number one wide receiver in Green Bay. And the answer is he's not. He was last year, but going forward, he's not. I think it's going to be Golden. Well, I think that's going to cover us for Matthew Golden. So let's just jump to our second pick. Chris, you're back on the clock. What you thinking here?
So I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. I'm sure most people will probably expect Luther Burden here. I'm actually going to take Trey Harris.
I love the pick of Trey Harris, in my opinion. I think he's a guy that steps into a role in an offense that's going to be really good. I mean, we already talked about how Harbaugh wants to run the ball with Amari and Hampton, and they have Najee Harris, but also him and Ladd might be the most perfect duo you could ask for. I mean, Ladd's going to be the guy that's shifty in the slot. Harris can play outside, and it's going to be fantastic. I absolutely love what the Chargers did. I don't care that Ladd's there. I think both of them can produce. You go back and watch his tape at Ole Miss with Jackson Dart. He was fantastic. He was a first-team All-SEC wide receiver, and he only played in 8 games, and he still got 1,000 yards. So I love Trey Harris. Coach, any thoughts? And we'll kick it back to Chris so he can make some more points on Trey Harris.
No, I love Trey Harris in this offense. I think Trey Harris is a heck of a player. I absolutely love Harbaugh, everything about him. Like, I really think the addition of Trey Harris is really going to help Herbert like a lot. Like, I really like that move. He really needed another wide receiver. Nobody else he had outside of McConkey could even catch the stinking ball. So Trey Harris has an immediate role and will make an immediate impact.
And that's pretty much what I'm banking on, right? Like I want players in good offenses with good coaches and good quarterbacks, and that's the Chargers. I know they're going to run the ball. I know that's their goal. That's why I took Hampton at 102. But at 202, getting someone like Trey Harris with the ceiling he has, we saw them bring in Mike Williams, so we know that they know what they're lacking. They brought him back in. He's a perfect player to comp to Trey Harris, in my opinion. He'll line up on the outside. He's got the big body. He can win the contested catches and let Ladd eat underneath. I'm not concerned about the other targets in the system because they have, I believe, Jack Conklin at tight end. Wide receiver 3 is Mike Williams, question mark. It's going to be an immediate opportunity. He's going to be on the field a lot, and they will throw the ball. As much as they want to run the ball, they still have to throw it. So I feel like it's a smash pick for me.
And we're coming off a year too where Herbert was incredibly efficient too throwing the ball. I think he only had 3 interceptions on the entire year with like 24 touchdowns or something like that. But adding Trey Harris to that is a better weapon than he had all last year outside of Lad McConkey. So
And
I love the pairing.
and the big thing there too with Trey Harris is you look at his college production. He only broke 1,000 yards one time, but he was close in both 22 and 23. And if you look, every year he got progressively better. So
Mhm.
that's what you want to see. And again, he went to a good team, good coach, good quarterback. So it's easy for me.
Yeah, in the Old Miss offense, kind of limited too. It was a smaller
Yeah.
route tree. It's a little bit more gimmicky. I know Coach has talked about that a little bit in the past, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I think we're ready to jump to our 203 here. I know we're at the 50-minute mark, so we'll try to pick up the pace here a little bit in the second round and third round here to get you guys rolling. But we appreciate everyone who's in here. So, Coach, you are now back on the clock.
Yeah, you guys like and subscribe. First Read Fantasy. Show us a little bit of love there. We'd really appreciate it. 203 for me is, and it's going to seem like, well, this guy, I'm just drafting a bear here. I want Luther Burden, but Matt can vouch. Like, I've been on Luther Burden way before the Bears drafted him. Like, I'm a believer in Luther Burden's talent. I don't think there's any receiver in this draft that is better with the ball in their hands than Luther Burden is. Now, Luther Burden is fantastic when he gets the football in his hands, and I think Ben Johnson will find a way to take advantage of that. I think Luther Burden starts in the slot on day one for the Bears and will have an immediate impact.
Chris, any thoughts?
I think so. I love the pick. He would have been my pick here as well. 100% agree. I would actually take Luther Burden over Matthew Golden. I would take Trey Harris over Matthew Golden. Um, Maybe that's me down on Matthew Golden. Whatever. The hesitancy on Burden for me is the fact that Rome is still there, was still the number 10 overall pick last year, is still talented, and we just don't know what the target share is going to look like in year one. Now, moving forward, I love the pick. So that's just my hesitancy, though.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Burden. I know coaches. I kind of didn't necessarily love the tape. I thought he took a step back this past season. You could argue that Cook in there at Missouri was kind of an issue towards that, but I don't hate the play long term. I mean, we've already mentioned that they've got a whole new offense there in Chicago. Ben Johnson kind of gets another toy, and I think this was an opportunity for them to take a guy they didn't necessarily expect to be there when they were on the clock. So it's kind of a luxury pick, but this offense should be good. It's a prove it year for Caleb, so we'll see what happens. But at the 204, guys, I'm going to go with a guy that I think wouldn't necessarily be here in a regular draft. But it's Tyler Warren. At this point, it's just too much value for me to leave on the board. He steps into a role. I don't love the quarterback play in Indianapolis, regardless of whether you believe in Jones or Anthony Richardson. But it's just a guy where I think I have to make this pick here at the 204.
In my
Yeah.
my main dynasty league, my main home league, the one that I've been in with the same guys for years now, Tyler Warren went at 203.
Wow.
Man,
That's
I
actually
love
surprising.
Tyler Warren. I love Tyler Warren, the player. I
Yep.
do not like Anthony Richardson, the quarterback. Like
Or Daniel Jones.
That's the issue. I like Daniel Jones more than I like Anthony Richardson. I think that's the scary part. Like to me, Tyler Warren goes in the first round if he's on any other team.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, completely agree. Chris, you're back on the clock. So what are we doing?
I'm gonna reach back into the wide receiver bag. I'm just gonna probably another curveball here. I'm gonna take Jack Besh.
Jack Besh
Oh,
finds his way to your Las Vegas Raiders.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about Besh and what you're kind of predicting he could be in this offense.
I project him to be a starter day one. You basically have aside from the running back, obviously we know about Ashton Jeanty. We know what he is. We know what he's going to be. You have a Pete Carroll offense. We know they're going to run the ball, but you need physical wide receivers for his system. You need wide receivers that will block. Jacoby Myers will block. He will run routes. He will not drop passes. He had 0 drops last year. Who else does that? Jack Besh. He had a 1.1% drop rate last year. He dropped 1 pass on 91 targets. It's perfect for a Pete Carroll system. I got him at right around 6 foot, 215. Perfect again, X wide receiver body frame. will play outside, will block his ass off, and have no problem doing it. Pete Carroll's going to love him. He'll be on the field all the time.
Coach?
Yeah, this team's desperate for wide receiver help. Tucker, I had a little hope for him, but he really didn't move the needle at all last season. Besh is a good athlete too. I think people are forgetting that too with him. His scores and stuff at the combine were really impressive. I mean, he has a world of potential, and he's in a heck of a spot to do it. He looked good in the Senior Bowl when that happened. You got to feel good about this.
It's also one of those things
Yeah,
too where you look past the production. Sometimes you just look at the player himself, and you look. I don't know if everyone on here knows his story, but if you don't, go look at his story. It'll make you want to root for him.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
that's
And
exactly what I was about to say.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
add that Geno Smith, I like him a lot. Like, honestly, I really do. He's the most underrated quarterback probably in the entire NFL, in my opinion. Geno Smith is solid. I think he will help everybody in that wide receiver room get a little bit better this year.
Yeah, I think the pairing between Besh with Gino is going to be great. You already mentioned he's not afraid to block. He's going to put his nose in there and do a lot of the things like Puka does. I hate to make that comparison because it's pretty big. It's a pretty big jump, but at the same time, when you watch the tape, he looks like him. Like he just does.
He
There's no
does.
way around it. He's consistent. He catches the ball. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can make a play, but he's also not afraid to just run through you. And I respect that about him. We already mentioned the blocking. And then the opportunity there. Like, yes, he's competing with Jacoby Myers, who I think is a great role player, stable veteran. But outside of that, there's plenty of opportunity. Brock
Yep.
Bowers is certainly going to get his workload, not saying he's not going to. He's the unicorn of the tight end position. He's just different than everyone else. But even with Brock Bowers there's opportunity for him. There's plenty of targets that he can get in this offense. And I think he's going to be just fine. You mentioned him being a day one starter. I completely agree.
Yeah. And if we project, if we give Geno Smith a loose projection of over 4,000 yards, which I believe he's done each of the last 3 years, I believe he was number 4 in passing yards last year. So let's just assume he's going to throw 4,000 yards. Brock Bowers is not catching 4,000 yards. So let's peg him for, let's say he just goes off and has 1,500 yards and give Jacoby Myers 1,000 yards. That's still what, 25? You're talking 1,500 yards to spread around, and Jack Bech will be on the field. So I don't know exactly what his projections look like year one. We'll have to kind of wait and see how they bring him along, but I can see him topping 800 yards.
Yeah, I think you're not far off there. I think that'd be a really good spot for him to kind of get some opportunity. 800
Yep.
yards is certainly within the realm of possibility there in that offense, just because, again, there's nobody else he's really competing with. But, Coach, if you got anything else to add, by all means. If not, then take us away on the 206.
Now I'm going 206. I'm kind of going to speed things up for us a little bit here for a few picks. I'm going to take Cam Scatterboo right here. I do really like him. I love what he did at Arizona State. I love the athleticism that he showed down the stretch for them last year. He has looked good at OTAs. Everybody's raving about him. I'm a fan.
I like the player, but I got to admit, man, I don't know if you've seen that video going around. He dropped a few pegs for me. Have you seen the video
Yeah,
going around? So,
Coach.
No, I have not, I don't think.
all right. So Amon Ra is sitting down on it. Looks like it's some sort of podcast interview, something like that. And they're showing him pictures of random players, and he couldn't name the players that were on there, and it was like Calvin Johnson, and he had no idea. He didn't know who he was.
Or are
Like,
we
oh
just officially old? Is that the problem? We're
man,
old.
I'm gonna say it's a Cam Scatterboo problem. I'm telling myself.
I know I'm old.
No,
Well,
in all honesty, I love the player. I love the pick. He had a good landing spot. Tyrone Tracy is not much of a threat to him.
Yeah, I would agree with that part. I don't have much else to add other than what you two said. So with my next pick at the 207, I'm torn here because I like Tootin, I like Higgins, but I'm going to go with Bashal Tootin. I think he's got the opportunity to get that workload. Travis Etienne certainly came out with his comments earlier this week talking about how hungry dogs are all over this roster and they're looking to eat. So, maybe he steps into that role, but I do think Bashal Tootin has the ability to be one, game-breaking speed. We already saw his 40 time. He's really freaking fast. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. You watch his tape at Virginia Tech, extremely consistent. He does everything well. I think he steps into a murky backfield where he can kind of earn that role. Again, I hate to draw that comparison to Bucky Irving, but they are a lot alike.
Yeah, man, I drafted him in several leagues. Since OTAs and the talk from Cohen and stuff like that, scares me to death now. I think ETN's role comes back. Yeah, it makes me really nervous, to be honest. I mean, I did take him middle of the second round, so it's not like I overpaid, but the talk and stuff out of Jags camp, it scares me.
Chris, anything to add, or you're back on the clock, my friend?
No, I'm with it on the Tootin pick. So I just didn't want to step on anyone there. I'm gonna probably surprise again. I'm not taking Jaden Higgins here. I like the player, but I don't really like the stuff I'm hearing out of Houston at the moment. I really like the stuff I'm hearing about Kyle Williams. Give me Kyle Williams.
Great pick.
No!
Great pick. I was going to take him, but I thought I might be able to wait. Great pick. Go ahead, though.
It's pretty straightforward. I try not to buy into the hype too much, but I already liked the player coming out. The draft capital is higher than I think anyone would have expected it to be. He goes to a place that literally has nobody outside of an injured, washed Stephon Diggs, who, after his recent videos, may not even be on the team within the next 60 days. It could be the Kyle Williams show, and you tell me I have the wide receiver one for Drake May. That's a no-brainer. Easy.
Coach?
Man, this dude is explosive. Like, I really hate he rose up draft board so much. I really feel like Matt and myself were on this dude early. God, he is explosive. He is fast in and out of breaks.
Yeah.
God, the stuff I'm seeing in OTAs out of him, it just jumps off the screen. Like, I really think, of course, Diggs will be the guy until he actually does something so stupid they have to cut him. But Kyle Williams is getting ready to have a major impact.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned it. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, speaking of rising up the draft board, right? So I just took him at 208 in my main dynasty league. I got him on my team at the 310.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. I was going to say, Coach and I can talk about the drafts we were in and we were doing on stream, where we were getting him at the end of the third. I even saw him go undrafted in one league.
Insane.
Like, we were all over Kyle Williams.
To let him go undrafted.
Exactly. Like, I love the talent. Any opportunity I saw him falling, I was jumping on. So was Coach.
And anyone on here, anyone on here that has your draft coming up, cool. Make sure you draft him. Anyone on here who's already drafted and he's out there, he's a fab dump. He's an easy fab dump.
Dump it all. I don't care. Dump it all.
Yeah.
Player profile jumped in here. Cheers, fellas. We appreciate you for jumping in. And real quick, this is a crazy trade that I think we should just hype for a second. Sent Nico and Ibuka, and he got Puka and Trey Harris. Give me Puka and Trey Harris. Anybody disagree with that?
No, I'm good with it.
Yep, I'm good with that. I'm with that myself.
Right on. All right, well, then we'll carry on. I am back on the clock at the 209, and I'm going to take Jaden Higgins. I'll take Pete's guy. Steps into a kind of a filled wide receiver room. They've got Nico. They've got his teammate Jalen Noel from Iowa State, and then they also have Christian Kirk, who they traded for. I think this is kind of one of those plays where we let it develop long term. But I think Jaden Higgins is surprisingly athletic given his 6'5" frame. So I like Higgins in this offense to give C.J. Stroud another weapon.
Hey, I feel like you just jumped me.
You did?
I?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Coach.
Yeah.
I jumped you.
I mean, my God.
Coach,
Now,
I love
it
your
works.
Jaden Higgins pick. That was a great pick, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. What the heck?
Back of the line, Coach. All right. Well, it's your pick.
All right, it's my pick. I'm going to surprise. I guess I'm throwing the curveball, as Chris would say here. I want Tyler Shuck. Give me Tyler Shuck right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey. Now, this is also a guy that me and Matt were on a long time ago. He's big. He's prototypical. He has a big arm. The dude can sling it. I know the crap people talk about, the blitz and all this, and people show the one bad play he had in college, and they leave out the toughest play of the year probably, where he takes a shot under the chin against Notre Dame and makes a touchdown throw. I think Shuck, again, this is a guy who has a real opportunity to start in New Orleans with some weapons around him. And if that happens, then this is major, major value right here.
Yeah, I think, Coach, you're spot on there. At this point, at the end of the second round, do you want to draft the guy who could be a running back, could be a spot wide receiver, maybe a tight end that pans out? Or do you want the quarterback who, if he starts, immediately is going to increase in value and you can move him, even if you don't want him? Or you keep him and you've got a solved quarterback problem if he's good. So I love the pick. You mentioned the Notre Dame tape. Anybody that says he can't play or puts on that stupid throw where they had at Louisville where he underhands the ball and it's almost an interception, go watch the Notre Dame tape and tell me the kid can't play. I get he's got a lot to work on. He played 7 years in college, 3 different injuries that were season-ending injuries, all bone breaks, not anything to be concerned about with ligament damage or anything like that. He can stand in the pocket. He got developed from coaches that know what they're doing at Louisville, so I love the pick, Coach.
Well, I'll tell you this. If he starts game 1, right, if he comes out of camp and he looks like he's going to be the starter, you can move him immediately for a late first.
Yeah.
The first time, if he has a 300-yard, 2-touchdown game within the first month of the season, you trade him.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you can immediately improve your investment.
Yep.
But enough on Tyler Shuck. Chris, you are back on the clock.
We're just going to stay with the position. I'm going to take Jalen Milroe.
Oh, wow. I did not see that coming.
What? You don't like quarterbacks that can throw the ball.
He's effective running the ball. He could turn into Jalen Hurts at some point. He's on a team that historically is at least solid. And I don't think Sam Darnold's a long-term answer there. And I like the coaching staff to have put in place. I like wait a minute, what?
Nothing about Milroe, college Milroe, is college Jalen Hurts throwing the football.
It's not. It's not. You're banking on the rushing upside with the potential that he could learn to throw the ball. It's no different than taking Anthony Richardson, and he went top 3 in Superflex.
Yeah. Well,
we could talk about that too.
all day long. Like, and the same was true of Justin Fields, right? The same is true there too. Like,
at this point, it's the same. Sorry, it's the same logic for me as, do I take Harold Fannin, Terrence Ferguson, right, at tight end? Do I take Devin Neal? No, I'm going to take at least. We're talking super flex, right? If he ever gets the chance to start and does anything decent, your investment has gone up.
Yep, I can't argue that. Not at all. There's a point there, like same with Richardson and all these guys, where if they can't stand in the pocket and throw the football, then they're not going to be starting quarterbacks for very long, regardless of how much they can run around and score touchdowns.
And if my second round pick at Jalen Milroe doesn't pan out, my roster isn't that hurt. I missed out on Jalen Royals, Jaden Blue. I'll survive.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Well, Coach, you're back on the clock, right? Because I stole your pick. So,
hey, is it my pick?
Sorry. Hey, I think so.
How about that? And by the way, I'm gonna keep hyping up. Like, subscribe, First Read Fantasy. Show us some love.
Yeah.
All right, so this is tough for me because I'm gonna take a tight end here, which there's 3 guys, and I'm gonna throw a knuckleball right here for Matt because I just haven't took this guy a whole lot. I'm gonna take Terrence Ferguson.
Love it. Love that pick.
That's a great pick
because everyone in the room knows I actually like Elijah Arroyo more. The dude's a stud. But Terrence Ferguson's a heck of an athlete. I saw the Rams. I'm falling into the ex-love of the Rams draft room hype of Terrence Ferguson. So there you go. I'm taking him.
The tough part with Ferguson is it's not even that you're buying an OTA clip. It's when they released that video of the actual war room where they were going, do we take this guy with our first round pick? And that's where you kind of step back and go, okay, whoa, that's a pretty big investment for this team. So I love the pick, Coach.
Sean McVay knows what he's doing, man. Like, and I still cannot forget the war room tape and the talk of Puka, right? Those guys in LA, they know what they're doing, man. I really believe that. So there you go.
Betting on someone that is playing for Sean McVay, never a bad bet.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, even on the defensive side of the ball, we saw them make multiple picks that really flipped that team last year. So I'm with you guys. They know what the heck they're doing. It is
Unless
crazy.
you're
It's
betting
wild.
on running backs not named Kyron.
Well, maybe we'll have one here in the third round. So we're at the hour 10 mark. We've got one round to go. Appreciate everyone who's been here. Like Coach said, be sure to like the stream and subscribe to First Read Fantasy. We are going to continue to go through here. Let's speed up the pace a little bit here so we can get out of here on time.
Yep.
And we're going to have some good quick hitters here. So what we'll do is we'll each make our pick, and then we're going to kind of give an outline for why we make them, what they could be. Because, again, these are the third round flyers. And if Coach had it his way, he would have all 12 of these picks. But fortunately, he does not get all 12. He's the king of buy the third. So I'm going to kick us off here with the first pick of the third round. And I'm going to go with Jaden Blue. It's not necessarily a player I've drafted a ton, in my opinion, or in my history, but I do think he has the opportunity to be a big-time playmaker in this Dallas offense, competing with Javonte Williams. Not a ton there to really scare me off. He's got that speed. I think he's going to be great in the passing game. If you go watch his tape at Texas, plenty of big plays, especially in the screen and the passing game. So I like Jaden Blue. I like the opportunity. He's going to be a nice flex play, especially in PPR leagues. Chris, what you got?
It's a discount. Jaden Higgins. Give me Jalen Knoll.
Yeah, I like that pick. Give me, gosh, I'm gonna take my boy here. Give me Elijah Arroyo. He's a good athlete. Way better.
I was looking at him too.
Was hurt a lot. Has an opportunity to be the starting tight end in Seattle.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Coach. And I'm going to continue the trend. I'm going to go with Taylor. If this is some type of tight end premium league, I think this is an interesting pick, just given that the weapons in New York outside of Breece Hall and outside of Garrett Wilson are kind of just question marks all over the place. I like Mason Taylor. I thought the tape was okay. And he steps into an immediate role. We'll see what happens, who he's going to compete with, but I'm not too concerned there. I think he's going to have a good path to getting the ball. Chris, you are back on the clock, my friend.
Yeah, I'm up. So I'm torn between there's a running back and there's a wide receiver I'm looking at. I'm just gonna take the running back. We were already talking about the Rams, and it's never a bad idea to bet on the Rams. Give me Jarquez Hunter.
Love that pick. I love that pick. Coach, you are on the clock. I won't steal your pick this time.
Now, Matt, if you love that pick, you're really gonna love this pick, Taj Brooks.
Whew. Let him know, Coach. Let him know. Lay it on him.
Matt's going to tell you all about Chase Brown and how he's really not very good and all this other stuff that I don't know if I even believe. But I do think there's a world where Taj Brooks makes an immediate impact. He's a bell cow. They've been hyping him up. It's a big, strong dude that carried the ball a ton in college. He got a lot of hype from the coach last week in his presser. I like Taj Brooks.
I freaking love the pick, man. I can't say enough good things about Taj Brooks. I know we weren't supposed to go back and forth, but I have to. They've been dying to have someone play with Chase Brown. I think Taj Brooks, yes, he had late round draft capital, but I'm not concerned about that. He's got that bell cow opportunity. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He was fantastic at Texas Tech. I could talk for hours, but I won't. I'll just jump to my next pick. But go ahead, Chris. It looks like you're about to say something.
I was just going to say draft players on good teams.
Yep. I think that's a great strategy. And the other thing, too, especially in these third rounds, is this is where I'm taking shots on running backs.
Right.
There's a lot of guys out here who have the opportunity to have some sort of workload, or if there is an injury to happen, you have an immediate handcuff that is worth a ton. Hunter's a handcuff. Blue could be a handcuff. Brooks could be a handcuff. And this next pick in DJ Giddens could be a handcuff. I think he's just like Taj Brooks. We've seen Jonathan Taylor miss time. I think he's got the opportunity to be that guy, step up, be the number 2 in this backfield, maybe even get a little bit of a workload to spell Jonathan Taylor. Yes, Jonathan Taylor's going to be the guy. I'm not saying he's not, but I do think Giddens was good enough at Kansas State. You go watch the tape. He's shifty. He's really clean. He can break tackles, not necessarily explosive speed to run down the field and make big-time plays, but he can get chunk yardage.
Love it. I'm with it.
Yep.
Chris, you are back on the clock, my friend.
All right. I'm going to take the wide receiver I was looking at on my last pick. Give me Pat Bryant.
Ooh, Pat Bryant. Sounds like Pete's in here.
There's no one behind Sutton. No one established behind Sutton. It's just a dart throw for a good young quarterback on a good team with a good coach.
And he got good draft capital, too. We kind of forget about that.
Yep.
He did. Which brings me to the guy who got a lot of draft capital, which to this day, I still don't totally understand. But we did talk about him pre-draft. I didn't expect somebody to give up multiple thirds to take somebody in the third. So I'm going to take Isaac Tesla.
Yeah, an interesting pick. You mentioned the Lions essentially traded 3 third-round picks to go and get this guy. Sneaky athletic, a big slot, so he's going to step into a role. Don't know how productive it's going to be, but you can't blame you for following the investment coach.
Yep.
At the 310 with my final pick, I'm going to go with Devin Neal. Just again, following that handcuff principle. Should something happen to Alvin Kamara, we've seen kind of what Kendre Miller is. Is he going to develop into something? I don't know, but I do like the tape of Devin Neal out of Kansas. I think he has that body and that frame to be a guy kind of like Alvin Kamara, where he's shifty, great out of the backfield, and catch the ball, and he can still run between the tackles and be effective.
I like it. For my pick, I'm looking at a running back and a wide receiver. I'm just going to highlight the wide receiver, even though I'm taking the running back. Taking Ollie Gordon, running back in Miami. Devon Achane is the guy, but he's smaller. He doesn't necessarily play all the snaps. He's always got potential to get hurt with his frame. And Mostert's gone. They have Alexander Madison there. It's not really a concern. So give me Ollie Gordon. I think he would have been a much higher draft pick had he not been hurt and kind of fallen off in college. The wide receiver I wanted to highlight, though, if he's out there on your waivers, go get him. Xavier Restrepo, playing with his college quarterback.
Ooh.
There's not a whole lot of competition there outside Calvin Ridley. If he's out there, go get him.
Coach, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
No, Restrepo's a good player. I mean, I'm with you on that. I do think the fact that they didn't spend any draft capital on him would be a concern. They did draft Elikai Manor. They did draft DK out of Florida in the 4th round, both those guys in the 4th round. So he's going to have to work his way through there, but I do think the connection with Cam Ward is going to do nothing but help him.
Yep.
So me and Matt talk about a lot. When you're in the 3rd round, 4th round, and you don't know what to do, then draft a running back. Like we say that all the time. If you don't know what to do, then draft a running back. Like those guys are the guys that end up hitting later on. You may stick them on your taxi, and next thing you know, he's in the game. That being said, I'm literally considering one of 2 guys right here. And they're quarterbacks. Will Howard, who right now the situation in Pittsburgh is such a mess. Was there a possibility that he starts? I mean, I would hope not.
I think so.
But maybe.
I would hope not too, but it's possible. There's a greater than 0 chance. I think he's got a better chance of starting than Shedeur.
Does he? I mean,
at least week really 1.
I would say. I think so.
Like does Bill and Gabriel have no chance of starting?
That's what I'm saying. I think Will Howard has a better chance of starting than Shedeur.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You talked me into it. I'm going Will Howard here.
Is that who you were looking at with Shedeur?
Yeah. I mean, Will Howard or Shedeur.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Shedeur's got that name value.
The OTA hype of Shedeur is like, you would think he hasn't thrown an incomplete pass yet. Yeah. It is unbelievable. Like X is full of, he's basically, Patrick Mahomes. And that's why I said you can't believe everything you see. Then if you look around hard enough, you'll see that Dylan Gabriel's done just fine too. I don't know. But Will Howard's got as much chance as anything. Give me a late round flyer on a quarterback that may eventually back into a starting spot.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Pete's still in here. He says Rodgers will sign before the June 10th. That's the soft deadline, so book it. I don't know about that. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was going to say, what's the over-under right now that Pete already ordered a custom Steelers Rodgers jersey?
Oh, it's 100%. I don't know. It's 100%.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah. If not, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.
He's probably wearing a Rodgers jersey right now.
There's not a bigger fan. I've never met one.
No, me neither. I mean,
well,
let me ask you a question. What?
Yeah, go ahead.
What pick on here surprised you guys the most? Not that you like the most, surprised you the most.
I think the Loveland pick surprised me quite a bit, to be honest. There was a lot of talent on the board, not at tight end, and it's not a tight end premium draft. So I think that one surprised me quite a bit. I don't have a problem with the pick. The logic is sound. I just feel like grabbing one of the other skill positions with who was available made more sense to me.
I respect it. I can't fault you too much there. That was my pick. I think the Loveland play is more of just a conviction that I have on the player himself.
Sure.
But you kind of highlighted that a little bit, so I won't fight you too much if you said you wanted to take Judkins over him. But that's kind of the line for me. After that, I would much rather have Loveland over Harvey, over Ibuka, over Johnson, so on and so forth. Coach, what's your most surprising pick, or do you want me to make mine?
No, Jalen Milroe was most surprising. I understand the logic. Like Chris's logic at the end there made sense to me. Like I understand that. I just wasn't expecting it at all. Hence
Yeah,
the surprise.
and I think that what you mentioned, Chris, at the time of that pick of what we know about these rushing upside quarterbacks is if they get the opportunity to play, it's gold. So I'm not going to fault you for taking a shot at the 211 on a guy who may end up getting a job or may end up getting some sort of role. And should he play, while I don't believe in him as a passer, there's no denying he's a freak athlete that can run the ball. I mean, I can't fault you at all.
If
Matt,
Sam
you've been
Darnold
called
falls
out.
off, if the Seahawks are below 500 by their bye week, they're going to put in Milroe to see what they have. And if he breaks out for just a couple games and has 200 rushing yards over 3 games and maybe a couple rushing touchdowns and some through the air, like 1 or 2 touchdowns through the air, you're going to be able to trade him for a lot in a Superflex league, like more than you paid at 211. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Coach,
Matt, you've been
what
called
are
out
we
in the
going to say?
comments here. You've been called out in the comments here by Pete.
Well, I'm going to make Pete wait because you asked me a question, so I'm going to answer your question first of what's my most surprising pick. So take that, Pete. You have no power here. I have the power. I'm going to say that the most surprising pick to me was RJ Harvey. That really did catch me off guard, Coach, at the 109. I know you and I are in a bunch of leagues together. We've drafted a ton of times, and that was the last thing I expected. I did not see that coming at all. So really surprised me. I don't hate the pick. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with J.K. Dobbins, but me personally, I don't really care about that too much. I'm not worried.
Yeah. On the line of the Steelers we were talking about earlier, it's the news I saw this week about how they're talking to Jonnu Smith and trading for Jonnu Smith possibly. Like as a guy who owns Jonnu Smith in multiple leagues, like that would terrify me. Because in Miami, he's going to get the football. If he goes to Pittsburgh with their current quarterback situation, not going to. I mean, there's nobody that can get him the ball. If they do sign Aaron Rodgers, the dude never throws the ball to tight ends. Also, another terrible decision if you're a Jonnu owner. So there you go.
Yeah, Hoff says that I'm the captain now. That's right. Hoff is in
That's right.
charge. That's what I heard through the grapevine. His bet here about order Rogers Steeler jersey, but he will need to order Jordan Davis jersey. Why do I have to order Jordan Davis? That's very random. You should pick someone else. Let Coach pick the player. He'll know. Um, we'll have to see. He's wanting to insult me with his comment about the board, but I'm not going to post it because guess what, Hoff? I'm the captain, right? And Scott says he appreciates the hard work of everyone. So thank you, Scott. We appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate everyone who tuned out. So if you just want to be able to throw us a thumbs up, we would greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to First Read Fantasy. Anybody got any final thoughts before we get out of here? Coach?
No, I'm going to give Chris a big shout out here for his first video, man. I thought you did a heck of a job. We were glad to have you.
Thanks, Coach. I
Yep.
appreciate that. It was a good time.
Chris,
I
any final
appreciate
thoughts
the
before we get out of
invite.
here?
I'm sorry, say again.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just showing a little gratitude. Appreciate you guys letting me on, let me join in, and experience the fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot in store for First Read Fantasy, so be sure to have the notifications on. Check out everything we're doing. Go follow us on X as well. Coach and I are live every single Wednesday. We've got Tyler with us too, who's another FF mediator. He's not here tonight, but he will be back next Wednesday. So be sure to catch us on Wednesdays, and we have all sorts of shows and plan. Lots of recordings, clips out there, so go follow us.